welcome back to the Right Passion Podcast. You already know what the deal is. We're getting back into the superheroes. In this episode, we're talking about the superhero Danny Phantom. Who is Danny Phantom? Well, actually, it's Danny Fenton. Danny Fenton is a high schooler, typical teenager from, I think it's Amity High School. I have to brush up on my Danny Phantom knowledge, but basically he is a kid that's just trying to find his way in life. In this episode, we're going to start with Danny Phantom. Who is Danny Phantom? What does he do? Have you ever watched Nickelodeon? Nicktoons? Well, if you haven't, you stopped by the right place. Danny Fenton. Who is that? He's just your regular old kid in high school trying to figure out who he is and what he wants to do with his life. And his parents, by the way, they fight ghosts. So, Danny Phantom, he was trying to help his parents start their ghost portal because their ghost portal was not working. And they were pretty upset about it. So, Danny ended up finding out the solution to the problem. He found that they forgot to plug in the portal. So Danny went in, plugged the portal in, and switched it on to on. And once he did that, he became half man, half ghost. He became Danny Phantom. Now with Danny Phantom, he became ghost-like, so he could switch on and off from being a regular Joe Schmo to a crime-fighting ghost catcher. The only people that knew that he was Danny Phantom was Jazz, which is his sister, and Sammy Tucker, his best friends. Everybody else did not know. But Danny Phantom, with his newfound powers, he decided to go crime fight and take on all the ghosts and the ghost empire that was silently building up against his hometown. So with that being said, what can we learn from Danny Phantom? Who is he? We already said who he was, but what can we learn about anything from him? What valuable lessons can we learn from Danny Phantom? Well, it's a lot. There's a few. And let's get into it. Let's find out what we can learn from the ghost fighter, half man, half ghost, Danny Phantom. Number 1, overcome your fears. Danny Phantom, ghost fighter, half man, half ghost. He still had fears. Even though he was able to take on these ghosts that used to scare him when he was little or younger, he still had that fear that came with doing the task. And not only that, whenever he went into battle, I said it about everybody, Power Rangers, Spider-Man, whoever it was, they have some sense of fear. And that fear does not stop them from doing what they're supposed to do. They feel the fear and do it anyways. So how can we use this? We gotta know and understand our fear. We have to break down our fears and understand that it's okay to have fear. The first step to overcoming fear is understanding what we are fearful of. That's what Danny Phantom did. He had to figure out what was he afraid of, what are his fears. Because without you knowing what you're fearful of, you're not gonna overcome it. You're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be doing the same thing and be avoiding that same place, person, or situation your whole life and not wonder, why can't I overcome this? Why am I always like this? It's because you keep avoiding it and you're not aware. So when he made himself aware of the situations and the circumstances, that's when the light bulb went off. That's when Danny Phantom was able to overcome his fears. And he also understood that fear, you don't stop fear. You're always going to be fearful of something, but you don't let it rule your life. So that's what we need to do in our day-to-day lives. Some people might be scared of insects, tall, what would you say, amusement parks, things that to the common man if we just compare it from me to you, my fear might not be the same as yours. You might be fearful of riding in a plane, and I might be fearful of, let's say, spiders. We're going to feel like it shouldn't be a fear because, for one, with me with a spider, you might be like, this spider is not going to hurt you. And then with me and you in the plane, you'll be all right. Just go up in the air and you come down. But fear has it's different for everybody. And along with that, when you understand and know it, that is the first step to changing it. Because as Danny Phantom was crime fighting, he figured out what he was fearful of certain situations. And the only way that he was able to overcome it was figuring out what it was and then going after it, going head first. That's what, but any superhero does that. Because, I mean, most superheroes do that. They have to figure out their fear to overcome it, they have to go do it. So whatever you're scared of, go do it. Now you can take a process to do it because that's what Danny did. He introduced it in a more relaxed state or a controlled state. What do I mean by control? When I mean control, I mean let's say you're at home by yourself in your room. Now let's say Danny would do this. He would mentally engage his mind with situations that would scare him. So he sat there and he just focused on the visual representation in his mind of what made him afraid. So he did that, and this was building him up, building up his confidence to take the thing on head on. So sometimes you have to go to a quiet room, close your eyes, and envision yourself taking on that same task, situation, or person. Because it's not gonna just be roses and peaches when you go out there. It's gonna suck. Those feelings are gonna come up. It's gonna be hard, but that's the beauty of it. Because you're changing, you're growing, and overcoming it. You're able to get out of that comfort zone. And for you to get out of that comfort zone, try it in a controlled setting. Envision yourself doing it, then take baby steps, start doing it, or looking at the person or situation, and actually face it head on. And ask a friend. He has Sam and Tucker. Sam and Tucker had his back, even when it looked like things were at the end or they were horrible, they were there for him. So find some people, find some support that can help you through that situation and through those tough times. Balancing responsibilities, number two. What do we mean by balancing responsibilities? That means you're putting on a juggling act, but you're able to focus on what needs to be done and do what needs to be done in an efficient manner. Basically, work-life balance. Danny was pretty good at being a student and being the crime fighter. It took him some time, and granted, if you look at the situation to show, you might say no, he wasn't, but he did the best he could do. Because balancing responsibilities is not easy. It's hard. It's hard being a crime fighter and being a son, a daughter, or a provider, or whatever your partner, because you're putting your life on the line to save people. But he found his way that helped him. He was able to know when to turn on Danny Phantom and know when to turn on Danny Phantom. He differentiated who he needed to be and what he needed to give at that certain time. That's the same thing we can do in our lives. Balancing responsibilities can be us with our work and our work-life balance. Sometimes you might need to scale it up when you're working. Like you might need to put some more time in and more effort in. And your social, I'm not saying put it to the back. No, keep it. But just know while you're enjoying yourself, you might maybe schedule 30, 40 minutes to read over what you're doing in your career to better yourself for those situations. Be adept to change. No, be adaptable. Be adaptable and be okay with switching up however you're going about life. Because that's what Danny Phantom had to do. What Bruce Lee said is be like water. He had to be okay with one moment he's enjoying himself with his friends and family, and the next minute he has to turn it on and go save someone from being taken from by a ghost. Because these ghosts didn't care. And that's just like us. When we're working or grinding, I'm not gonna say people don't care, but they're focused on the results. They're focused on what you can do and what you can give for them. So sometimes you have to just put on that other mode or go into that other mode and focus on that task at hand and not worry about anything else. Well, not necessarily worry, but put your mind through anything else than that same task. And when you're doing this, all you're doing is conditioning your mind to know, all right, In this setting, I'm gonna act this way. And then in this other setting, the social setting, I'm gonna act this way. I can loosen up. So in balancing it, doing this, I call it juggling act. You're able to just go about things in a more efficient way. At first, it's not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna enjoy it. Like if you look at Danny Phantom, the first couple episodes, he sucked. He was horrible, and that's okay. Because when you're born into this life, you're not given no handbook on how to live this life the way that you should. Sometimes you have to go the unconventional route. Like in school, there's a traditional way to learn, and it's awesome. But once you get out of school, unless you're still going for your career or something, learning, it's up to you to learn. And learning is on you. Now, I say you should keep learning, keep reading, keep figuring things out, because as you keep feeding your mind things that are useful, you'll bring about success that you didn't even know about. I call it unconventional success, but that's another story. But balance is the goal. And on the way to that path, dude, don't get upset with how it looks. It's not going to be pretty. And that's fine. That's perfect. Actually, if somebody tells you it's pretty, work-life balance is pretty, ask them how they were when they first started. Because 9 times out of 10, they will not tell you the truth, or they were probably worse than you. And people won't admit that. What's next? The power of friendship. Friendship. Everybody wants it. Everybody desires friends and people they can call on. Why? Because they're companions. They're people you confide in. They're people that make you feel good about yourself. We're social creatures. We want to be around people that like us or like the same things that we like. Why? That's just how we're wired. So, friends bring about that comfort. They can bring about happiness and just a sense of purpose sometimes when you're around the right people. Who did he have? Who did Danny Phantom have? Yeah. He had Sam and Tucker, 2 best friends. Now they made crime fighting as a ghost fighter smooth. What I mean by smooth, I mean, and I mean that when we plan things out, usually stuff doesn't go as planned. And when that happened for Danny, because he had multiple plans, his friends stepped in and helped him. They assisted him when things didn't go right. So just imagine that. He's fighting, what was one of the techno? He was fighting techno. He can take over every piece of technology. Right now, I'm not going to lie. If he was to face us or come into this world, we would be at his mercy, because we got these phones, laptops, TV. Yeah, he take over the world. But in order for Danny to defeat him, he needed the help of Sam and Tucker. Sam and Tucker were with him. They were able to help him in a situation where he felt like he was out of it. He couldn't do anything. So with them being there, that just shows the power of friendship. They're able to come to your aid when you need it the most. And I wonder how many of us think about times where we were just so down and out, but because we had some amazing friends that came through, instead of that story being horrible, we turned that story into like something that's magical. Why? Because what was supposed to tear us down, we had some good people in our lives that came and built us up. The power of friendship is just amazing. And with that example, it just ties into us in our daily lives. You gotta find people that you can call friends. I'm not gonna say you got to. I say you choose to. You're gonna hear that a lot. Choose to find people that you can call friends. Why? Because you want to have people that have your back in your corner. Because, as I said before, life is not peaches and cream. It's not going to go perfect. And most of the time when you plan something, the plan is not going to work out. And that's okay. Because life is life sometimes. But with these friends, they keep you motivated. I'll tell you, they'll keep you, hold you accountable, and they'll push you to newer heights. They'll make sure that you get to where you want to get to because you're so passionate about it. They will not let you not do it. They are going to be on you about it each and every day. Now, that's if you get the right friends. What's the benefits of having the right friends? As I said, they will A, hold you accountable, B, they will make sure that you're on it, and C, push you. So it's just having a group, it just helps you exponentially. That whatever you're trying to do in this world, when you add a group of people and call them your friends, you are going to take stuff on and you're going to be rolling. You probably be able to take on an army of people and just keep it moving. I'm not talking physically or violence. I don't want, no, I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying. But the power of friendship is vital for all of us. Number 4, the last one. Doing what's right. Doing what's right. That's a tough one, isn't it? Because we, as human beings, I like to say we're emotional beings in this human experience. Take that however you feel, but we feel emotions strongly. And sometimes it's hard to be logical because of our emotions and how strong they feel. What does that mean? I'm saying that sometimes when you do the right thing, you can feel horrible doing it, but it's still got to be done. Danny Phantom, he does the right thing all the time, and well, not all the time. He did his best to do the right thing as much as he could, and while it helped him it was great that he did the right thing, he didn't always feel good doing it. Why do I say that? Because sometimes you do the right thing and you feel horrible. Because there's certain situations and circumstances that you'll get into, and you know the right thing to do is to either end it, stop somebody from doing something, or just to basically stop the whole situation. Example, when Danny Phantom is facing some of these foes, I can't remember one in particular, he stops them from basically taking their vengeance out on the world. Now, it's the right thing, but sometimes he feels bad. Why? Because some of these supervillains he goes against, they had trauma just like him. They went through situations that made them feel horrible, and instead of them being a superhero, they became a super villain. They took their pain out on the world and wanted to take over the world. So he felt for them, and some of them he even felt as though not it was wrong to stop them, but he just felt so sorry for them because of their situations and their circumstances. So it hurt when he stopped them because he understood where they're coming from. And sometimes it's the same for us. It can be the same for you. You can have situations and circumstances with, let's say, friends, family, or whatever it is, where you know what to do and you do the right thing, but it's at the cost of like somebody else's feelings or whatever it may be. And it sucks, it hurts because you know what you're doing is right and will help long term, but sadly the short term pain, it comes in and it just rains down. It's pouring. But the long term, you see it from the long term, you understand that things are going to work itself out, and it's great because this is what needed to happen. Sadly, it came and it brought about some short-term unhappiness, but this happens. And for you to do the right thing, it comes with the challenge. I heard it somewhere else. It's called higher level training because there's not no commencement when you do the right thing. Yeah, oh yeah, you did great. I mean, sometimes there is, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, when it's like a huge thing where everybody's emotions are invested and you could let something go and everybody be happy, or you can actually take it on and do the right thing about it, like actually get the situation handled, it can cause a lot of envy, anger, pain, but you know, it's the right thing to do. And Danny Phantom, he struggled with that sometimes because as I said, it's a choice to do the right thing, which is good, but it just comes at the expense of emotions, of pain, and understanding where people are coming from because it's not easy. It most certainly isn't. And I'll say this: it takes a person of high character to understand their emotions, how the situation may play out, and to actually still do the right thing regardless of how they feel. Because if you can do that, you're a true superhero. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Right Passion Podcast. I hope you learned something very helpful and got some very valuable lessons from this podcast. Don't just listen to them and don't do anything. Listen to them, use them, and go about your life in a new, more positive way. Ignite your passion.